Most mountain home projects do not fall off the proverbial cliff because the homeowner didn't care or because the builder was unreliable. The project falls off the cliff because nobody owned the vision. I'm Christine Heartsill, and I have helped homeowners be surrounded by beauty in their homes as a full-service interior designer for over 25 years. And during that time, I have learned a lot. In this video, I'm going to share with you 4 lessons that I've learned over the course of almost 3 decades. So if you're thinking about tackling a mountain home new build or renovation, you will learn what details you need to decide before you start construction so you don't pay for it later, how to manage your project effectively, and how to avoid the most common mountain home mistakes that make homeowners feel frustrated and overwhelmed. And when I was a little girl, I remember my dad sitting at the kitchen table drafting our future home designs. He would spend hours drawing, erasing, drawing again, erasing again until he had the perfect home design. And those were the days before AutoCAD. So this fascination with my dad's architectural drawings, coupled with my mom's talent to beautifully furnish our homes, was what made me really decide to want to pursue interior design as a career. So eventually I enrolled in our local university interior design program, and one of the most important courses that we were required to take was space planning. So this course taught me critical thinking with regards to interior spaces and layouts and how each detail affects another. Now, while I was attending school, I also began working for a local cabinet shop, and I learned how to design kitchens and bathrooms, and I had a fantastic boss who really understood the importance of details in home design, and he taught me everything he knew about capturing all those details needed for a successful project. My biggest lesson from those early years was that details decide the outcome. Now, this era of my career was where I learned that the client's dream lives in the details, not in the inspiration photos. Most projects do not fail in the big ideas. They fail in the small decisions that you don't think through early. Those decisions and details, they need to be documented very clearly for everyone involved in the project, or else they'll fail to bring your project vision to life. So if you're a homeowner planning a renovation or a new build, or if you're right in the thick of it and you're feeling overwhelmed with all the 1,000 little choices and the fear that the finished home won't match what you imagine, stop what you're doing right now and create what I call a design decisions plan. So now this is similar to what designers and architects call the design deliverables. This is where every detail of your vision for your project is documented. If you can do it early before you even break ground, that's even better. Make note of every detail, every selection, every decision, and keep it all in one place. Whether it's digital or printed, it doesn't really matter as long as everything that you envision for this project is jotted down somehow, somewhere. Share this document with everyone on your construction team so that your vision is executed with as little friction as possible. So now the biggest mistake I see homeowners make is that they trust that their contractor has control of the whole project and all the project information, when in reality, he's managing 100 moving parts, multiple tradespeople, and a constantly changing schedule. He's not memorizing your tile selections, your paint sheen, where you want that wall sconce placed. Leave a comment below if you've created your design plan documents for your project and how it's helped you. Now, after design school, I went to work full-time for a kitchen and bath showroom. I worked closely with my clients on their kitchen and bathroom design, as well as other areas of their home where cabinetry was involved. I loved designing kitchens and bathrooms and working with my K&B clients, but something was missing. I kept seeing a disconnect between the homeowner, the tradespeople, the contractor. There were so many times when a client would share with me that they felt so lost and overwhelmed because they had information and questions coming at them from all directions. The plumber asking where the faucets were, the electrician wondering where to place the switches, and the contractor asking which tile they had selected. I could see the fear and overwhelm in their eyes, and I couldn't do much to help because I was just the cabinet gal. So I learned from watching my clients' projects go haywire that there needed to be a point person who saw the vision all the way through. One decision maker who could mediate between everybody involved on the project. So the lesson for that era of my career was that if nobody owns the vision, the project drifts. Choose one person to be the decision filter, the communication hub, even if that person is you. If it's you, own it. Be that person and recognize that you have to be prepared to answer all the project questions and keep the project on track. If you're tackling a home improvement or new build project and working with a contractor and multiple trades, and you feel like you're the default project manager, just know that you are. If you haven't hired a project manager or an interior designer, you're the one, even if you have a general contractor, because even the contractor can't be the only one overseeing the project. So if you feel that there are conflicting opinions, decisions getting made without you, or that uneasy feeling that the project is steering itself, well, this is your cue to reel it back in and go back to the design decisions plan from lesson number 1 and embrace your position as project manager. Now, you do have another option. You can appoint a person to own the vision, somebody to filter the decisions and manage communications so that the project stays aligned and you're not pulled in every direction. Now, this could be an interior designer, and in my humble opinion should be, but there's also project managers for hire. They're separate from the contractor, and they are there on the job site as part of your project to ensure that things flow smoothly on your project. So fast forward a few years, and I jumped on an opportunity to work as a remodeling assistant for a design build firm outside of Portland, Oregon. I was the owner's right hand. I went with him on every client meeting. I handled all the secondary design and drafting tasks. I helped the client select finishes and fixtures and met with trades on the job site to go over the design details with them. After a couple years with that remodeling firm, I then moved into a position as an independent design build remodeling contractor. This is where I found my sweet spot. I was finally the point person of the entire renovation process, all the way from walking clients through the layout, the fixture and finish selections, and exactly how those choices added up in their budget. And they would agree to a final project budget, and we would sign the contract and get started. It was such an exciting era of my career, and I loved my job. However, once construction started, the client would veer off the path and begin to question their decisions. They would start to request changes, and these changes created a domino effect, adding time and complexity to the project and essentially driving up the total cost. They would often get frustrated when they see a change order come through because they didn't realize how much a small change could cost once everything was already in motion. So that experience taught me something I still walk through every client from the very beginning of the project to this day. That is the power of the domino effect in construction projects. It's an expensive reality where a quick tweak to a faucet suddenly now turns into ripping out tile and moving plumbing. And in construction, one change never travels alone. It always brings with it a few expensive friends. So for example, you decide you want to move a pendant light 12 inches to the left once the drywall is completed. No big deal, right? Except now the electrician has to come back, move wiring, and that's not a free service. Now we're in the mountains, and those subs might not be back in our zip code for another 2 or 3 weeks. So now the whole schedule is sliding, and that is costing money too. So what's the lesson? A mid-construction change is never just an easy shift. It's a chain reaction. This lesson is for you if you want to stay on budget, but you also get a little Pinterest happy once the walls are open and you start questioning your decisions. Now realize that changing your mind on anything might actually be self-sabotaging your budget and your timeline. So before you say yes to a change, pause, ask one question. What else does this change affect? Then get the cost, the timeline impact, and trade implications in writing so that you can decide with clarity instead of emotion. This lesson saves you from frustration of feeling like your contractor is nickel and diming you, when in reality, it's just the nature of construction. Also, see how all of these lessons relate to each other? If you have a design decisions plan from lesson number 1, and you're being a proactive project manager from lesson number 2, you're less likely to have that domino effect costing you. Here's a fun story. I met my sweet husband Judd when I was remodeling homes in Portland, and he lived in Texas. For various reasons, he wasn't able to relocate, but I could. Now, I really loved living in Portland. I loved being close to the mountains, and the Portland vibe was all about outdoor life, and I was there for it. So when Judd asked me to marry him, I made him promise that if I moved to Texas to be his wife, he would move me back to the mountains someday. Well, that someday came in 2020. We sold everything. We bought a travel trailer and we began traveling all of the Rocky Mountains and all the way up to Glacier National Park and then back down to Texas. But on the way, we started exploring Southwest Colorado, and that's how we landed in the Pagosa, Durango area. We found a little property near Durango, and I began designing mountain homes full-time. I started developing relationships with local builders and remodelers, and I began managing projects for my clients. In those early years, I had a lot of honest conversations with mountain lovers, building or renovating, and I kept hearing the same thing. They expected the fun parts like picking the fun tile and light fixtures and dreaming of the views from their living room window, choosing all the cozy details. What they did not expect, however, was how different building in the mountains really is. Weather can shift the schedule overnight, the local labor pool is small, and trades are juggling multiple jobs. So communication gaps in a project gets expensive real fast. I learned how important it was to plan for regular site walkthroughs and plan meetings with the contractor for updates. So lesson number 4 is you protect the vision with regular check-ins. Now, if you're running your own renovation or new build, especially in a mountain town where trades are busy and timelines can shift fast, you must be available often and conduct regular check-ins. Those check-ins are one of the best ways to prevent surprises, to protect your budget, and to keep the vision intact. This goes hand in hand with number 2, which is wearing the project manager hat. This keeps you from feeling out of the loop and having decisions made without you and finding problems late when they're expensive to fix. What are the takeaways from my almost 30 years of interior design? Beautiful homes are not built by luck, but by clear decisions, clear leadership, and a plan that is protected all the way through. When you plan your project with these lessons in mind, you stop reacting and you start running your project with confidence. If you want more mountain-specific renovation guidance, practical tips, behind-the-scenes real projects, subscribe to this channel. And here's the deal. If you're building or renovating a mountain home, keeping track of every decision, detail, and domino effect can get overwhelming fast. If you'd rather have a professional in your corner to keep your project aligned from start to finish, we're here for you. You can book a complimentary discovery call with yours truly. The link is in the description below. And until next time, be surrounded by beauty.